Oh. Yeah. Get out of there. Get out of there. Look at that mat of weeds. Oh, all right. Hey, you never know if they're gonna be a little fish like this or a great big giant. So really, you gotta set the hook with authority. Sweet.
Coming up. On this week's episode, Bob gets up close and personal with some largemouth bass. Bob fishes a variety of areas with floating weeds, mats, and lily pads where bass like to hide on sunny days. Pitching and flipping heavy cover, Bob relies on the fast retrieve of the Revo rocket reel and heavy action Veracity flipping rod combination for getting these bass out of the heavy stuff.
Wow. Thump, thump, thump. Here we go, boys. That is awesome.
Look at that magnificent fish. Way down there.
Isn't that sweet? Look at the size of that fish.
There he is again.
The color is incredible. Yeah, that's a nice one.
The Real Fishing Show with Bob Izumi.
All right. That is a big rainbow trout, Chris. Double headers. Whoa!
Nice jump.
Yeah. All right. Man, that is so cool. Another one. There we go. All right. Look at that chunk.
Real Fishing is sponsored by Mercury, #1 on the water, and Tim Hortons.
On the Real Fishing Show, we make catching fish like this a possibility. Here we go. Come on out there. He's wrapped around the reeds. Get in here. All right. Hey, folks, glad you could join me. Today I'm doing one of my favorite techniques for largemouth bass, and that's flipping for them in heavy cover. You know, when it comes to getting close to the fish, up close and personal, there's nothing like getting right in the thickest stuff you can find. Floating weeds, mats, lily pads, all kinds of cover, wood. And those fish will get in there on really bright, flat, sunny days like we've got today. And it's a beautiful day out here. And what I'm doing is I'm flipping the Chigger Quad, my favorite Berkley PowerBait, and I'm getting it right in their house, putting it right in their face. Oh, come on in, baby. This is where a real heavy rod like I've got now, you can just put the muscle on a fish, even though I got a whole mess of weeds there. I think there's a fish in it. I think. Oh yeah, there's a largemouth hidden in there. I don't want to get all those weeds in the boat, so I'm just going to clean it off. And there we go. He was camoed. You know, a lot of times what'll happen is when you get a real massive ball of weeds on like that, and the fish is smothered in it, they can't fight. So what they'll do is their eyes are all protected, their mouth can't flap open, and they can't really swim, so it's easier to get them into the boat when you got a big wad of weeds on them. So sometimes when they bury down in and you set the hook and you get this wad of weeds, it's like a Christmas present wrapped up. Baby. Nice largemouth bass there. Oh yeah, 50-pound trialing professional grade braid. You can pull them up like that, hooked right through the nose. Look at that fat fish. All righty. You know, that is a real chunk right there. And that's what flipping for largemouth is all about. Getting your bait in a nice silent presentation right where the good big boys live. Look at the belly on that fish. All right. Thanks for coming out and playing. What I've got here is an isolated patch of lily pads. And whenever you find a little patch like this, a good place to flip, the first thing I do is put a flip on the top portion of them where maybe a fish could be facing into the wind or the current. And then I'm just gonna pitch progressively back further into it and work some of the areas in the middle and towards the back of it. But usually, if there's an aggressive fish in a spot like this, it's gonna be right at the face of it if there's current or wind blowing in on it. And if there's not an aggressive fish, then I'll progressively work further deeper into it. Time to hit another spot.
When we return, there's more pitching and flipping the heavy cover for largemouth bass. Stay tuned. Closed captioning is brought to you by boaterexam.com. Let's take a look down under with this week's Fisheye View, sponsored by Mercury, #1 on the water. Many of our viewers wonder about the actual size of fish being presented on the Fisheye View. It's a tough call. You really need something nearby for scale. Knowing the size of a bait, for instance, it's possible to measure things out. Fact is, perspective is a funny thing. When fish are further away from the camera, you get the impression they're smaller. Put those very same fish up close, and it's a different story. Off in the distance, it's hard to believe this is the very same smallmouth. In order to deliver a realistic viewpoint of true size, we intentionally set our camera at a focal distance of 2 feet, hoping all the action happens there. Any closer, and things are blown out of proportion. Above water shots are the same. Anything further back appears smaller than up close. Always look for something that lends scale. Bent elbow shots deliver a true impression, while arm's length images are an old trick and misleading. When it comes to still photos, you have to be your own judge. Look for an exposed hand to determine true size. And remember, with Photoshop, anyone can turn minnows into monsters. Opinions should be based on the integrity of the person holding the fish. There's an old saying in angling, all fishermen are liars. Except you and me, of course. And I'm not so sure about you.
It's all about hitting high percentage spots when you're flipping and pitching. The cool thing about it is, when you're flipping and pitching, your bait is in the strike zone pretty well 100% of the time. So when you're flipping and pitching into the heavy cover, your bait is right in front of its face if there's a fish in there. We're talking about close range fishing. So I'm hitting small, high percentage spots that are gonna hold fish. Little corners, isolated patches, points, inside corners, just anything a little bit different. Oh, here we go. Oh. Come on out of here. All right. It was buried up in there. Now, there's something a little different here. We got some pencil reeds, and there's some good mats blown in around these pencil reeds. And you can see right here that there are a incredible amount of uprooted weeds that have blown in here, and so you got perfect shady conditions for those largemouth. Okay. You can hear the line, this professional grade trilene braid going through the micro guides on this Veracity, and this is the first time I've used this Veracity heavy action 7.5 foot flipping rod, and I'll tell you, I really, really like it. It's just amazing. It's got the power, as you can see, me lifting this fat largemouth in. Look at how short and fat that thing is. And it's also got micro guides on, and the micro guides are great because they're very close to the blank of the rod. Look at how fat that thing is. Wow. So you've got these tiny guides, and it's great for braided line because it prevents what they call line slap on the rod. So it goes through the guides very smooth, and also you don't get a lot of wrapping. On bigger guides, a lot of times the braid will wrap around the guides, and you'll be fishing along, and all of a sudden it'll wrap around and it'll stop your ability to flip. So let's get another one of these. This is a chigger quad here. Cool power bait. I love this thing. There's also the chigger claw, which was out for a number of years, and then they came out with this one, which has got a little bit different appendages here. This is a 5/0 straight shank flipping hook, and a lot of the better flipping hooks have some sort of keeper here, either metal or shrink tubing on the shank to hold your plastic on. These are very beefy, strong hooks. I use a 4/0 or a 5/0. What I do is just rig it about a 1/2 inch out through the body of this chigger quad. Then I bury the point into it. And this is an ultra tungsten 1 ounce weight with a rubber stopper on my Trilene professional grade braid here. So that's it right there. And you can flip this right into the heaviest of cover. Come on out there, baby. Whoa. That's one thing about it. You can muscle them in when you got the right tackle. And, whoa, sorry, bass. Oh.
More heavy cover action and using the Revo Rocket and Veracity flipping rod combination when we return. Stay tuned. This tip of the week is sponsored by Coleman, the outdoor company.
For more than 30 years now, I've been taping the Real Fishing TV series and fishing tournaments, actually since I was 15 fishing tournaments. And I have to admit, being on the road is in my blood. I love it. Some years I'm on the road as many as 300 days a year. And when you're on the road that much, you really want to be organized. Whether I'm packing the boat or going to a tournament or something for a fun trip, I really want to make sure that I've got the right lures and rods and reels to match for the conditions that I'll be facing. Another thing is being comfortable when you're out there. I'll pack appropriate clothing for the conditions. In many cases, if I'm going in a spring or fall tournament, I want to make sure that I've got the proper rain gear. So I'll pack 3 different types of Columbia rain gear: lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight, depending on the weather conditions, because there's nothing worse than being wet while you're out there fishing in a competition. Another thing is things like bug repellent. I'll pack some off with me. I'll pack sunscreen, very important. There's just something about being organized, whether you're doing it for a living like I do, or you're just going out for a fun family vacation. You want to have all the proper tools in place to get the most out of your fun when you're in the outdoors. So next time you go out there, make sure that you do a little checklist of all those little things that you may need or you might encounter when you're out there in the outdoors, and have fun. Had one. That's one thing about flipping and pitching. You don't get them all, that's for sure, but you certainly do get it right where they live. No, come on out of there, baby. Oh, that's all right. I like this fast retrieve reel here. 9-to-1 rocket reel, because you can get these hogs out of there quick. All right, get in here, buddy. Oh, nice. All right. Wow. You know, the cool thing about it is close range fishing for these fish is so much fun. Wow. Nice largemouth. And once again on black and blue chigger quad, it's just a cool flipping bait. What a bass. Very sweet. Fast retrieve, Revo Rocket. You've got the 9-to-1 retrieve. You got this extended carbon fiber handle. You can get them out of the cover quick. Plus, very efficient. You can make a lot of flips. All right. Look at that fish. That is so cool. I'm gonna put him right back where he came from. See you later. Oh, there we go. That's what I call a hook set. One thing about it is you got to get a good hook set on these fish. And you saw I put that rod up. Now that's not a real big fish, but you saw I lifted that rod up pretty violently, because you know what? You want to jam that hook into the fish's mouth, and you know, you use a little limp hook set, you're not going to hook too many fish. And you know, that fish there, I flipped in and I saw a reed twitch, and then all of a sudden I feel the dink. So I'm flipping in, jigging it 1 or 2 times, and then just flipping to another spot.
When we return, Bob finds the bass he's been looking for in the heavy stuff. Stay tuned.
Wee fella. That one there, I flipped to the outside of the matted weeds. That thing just ran out and got it. That's an aggressive fish. Those things never happen when I got the video camera rolling. I made a pitch to the outside of it thinking, oh, that's a bad pitch, and all of a sudden my line tightened up. Oh, there's a good spot here. Now what we've got here is a mixture. You've got pencil reeds, and you've got this bladed grass right in here. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's mixed in. So you got lily pads, pencil reeds, the milfoil coontail out here, and whatever that grass is in there. So you kind of got a little bit of everything now happening. We're talking quite the salad. Oh. Oh yeah, nice one. That's a nice bass. Come on, baby. Oh yeah, look at that one. Yeah, look at that fatty. Awesome. That's a good chunk there. Man, oh man. And as I said, there's all kinds of vegetation. Look at all that thing. That's what we're looking for. All righty. I've got a key spot coming up. Like all of these mats that I'm flipping here are good, and I'm gonna fish them all. But when I come to a little indentation like I've got here, and you've got the mat going back in, a bit of a cut, and it's a little thicker, that is a pretty key spot right there. There we go. Let me just put another good flip in there. I don't think he felt metal. See, sometimes when they grab just the appendages on this and they don't feel metal, a lot of times you can just pitch back in and catch them. So let's see. Come on back, baby. Just gonna twitch it, let it sit. Twitch it, let it sit. There he comes back. Oh, he hit it. It might be a real small fish. I felt it. There we go. Oh! That was like a 4-pound fish. So sometimes the big fish can fool you. That fish was a big one. And it was just going ping, 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 ping. Just like a little panfish under there. I thought it was like probably a, you know, a perch or a sunfish or something under there. That was a giant. Look at the hole it blew through the mat. What do they say? That's why they call it fishing, not catching. When you're flipping and pitching, there's really a lot of options. In the case of this little stretch here, I can flip potentially in this cover, or I could flip to my right over here and get them in deep. And both offer shade and cover and a great ambush spot for them to feed on. Very cool place here. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's a big boy. Oh yeah, come on in here. Oh yeah. Look at this hog. I better get down and lip this thing. Oh man, get over here. Oh, whoa. Yeah, baby. Wow. Look at that thing. Look at the belly on it, man. It just sucked it in. Wow. That is a good largemouth right there. And you know what? That's what I'm looking for. Big pot belly fish. Hey, that fish was just on the edge under that little mat over there. And you can kind of see the hole it came out of. I pitched it in there and I jigged it like 2 or 3 times and just whammo, it hit. Now we got to get one photo of this, I think. That's a pretty good one. All righty. Wow. That's what flipping is all about, getting hogs like that. That's a nice largemouth right there. Right back into the weeds. Whew. Yeah, all right. This is a big fish. That is a fish of a lifetime. Well, that is just amazing. Look at that thing. Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, man. Woo. That was too cool. Oh, man, what a fish. Look at that.